At just 24, Anthony Edwards wasn't supposed to be this good yet. He was meant to still be learning, refining, and growing, but instead he's already dominating the league, proving he's far ahead of schedule.
Edwards puts it up, it drops. New career high for Anthony Edwards.
A top-tier scorer, a reliable shooter, a defensive force, and the unquestioned leader of a franchise that suddenly looks like a real contender. That's Anthony Edwards. He'll dunk on you, block your shot, and casually drop 30 while leading a team most people counted out. And the wildest part? He's only getting started. Because if this is what Edwards looks like now, the NBA might have a serious problem on its hands. When Anthony Edwards entered the league in 2020, he was raw but electric, explosive, fearless, and full of potential, yet far from polished. He averaged nearly 20 points per game as a rookie, but shot just 32% from three and barely 42% from the field. Back then, he was more highlight reel than superstar, to be why his second year, everything started to click. The jumper tightened up, the shot selection improved, and suddenly, Ant wasn't just dunking on defenders. He was torching them from deep too. He jumped to 21 points a night while hitting 36% from three, forcing defenses to respect every part of his game. Then came year 3, the true breakout. Nearly 25 points per game, 6 rebounds, over 4 assists, and a newfound efficiency that made him impossible to ignore. The explosiveness was still there, but now it came with patience, control, and leadership. Anthony Edwards had officially evolved from highlight sensation to legitimate superstar. The kind of player you have to game plan your entire defense around.
Smaller now for the Timberwolves. Edwards takes a shot. Late close by Caldwell.
And then last season, at just 23 years old, Anthony Edwards didn't just take another step. He rocketed into full-blown superstardom. Averaging 27.6 points per game, the 4th highest mark in the NBA, Edwards played 79 games, showing not only dominance, but durability. And this wasn't empty volume. He wasn't just scoring more, he was scoring better. His field goal percentage rose to 44.7%, and his three-point shot became elite, hitting a scorching 39.5% from deep. Most players start to plateau by year 5. Anthony Edwards is doing the opposite. He's only beginning to take off. In his first few seasons, he was pure chaos, raw, explosive, unpredictable, defined more by his athleticism than polish. But over 5 years, he's built a reputation on one thing: relentless, measurable improvement. He's raised his scoring average and true shooting percentage every single year of his career. And in the past 2 seasons, he's added something far more dangerous than raw talent: control, precision, and patience. Ant isn't just putting up numbers anymore. He's mastering how he gets them. Every year, more efficient. Every year, more dangerous. Every year, more complete. Nowhere was that transformation clearer than in his shooting. Last season, Edwards didn't just get hot. He became one of the best shooters in basketball. The stats are ridiculous. 320 made threes, the most in the NBA, hitting 39.5% overall. Even crazier, 230 of those came off pull-up attempts, leading the league by a wide margin. And it wasn't empty shooting. His efficiency translated directly to wins. Whenever Edwards hit 5 or more threes, the Timberwolves went 22-7, a 61-win pace. His shooting didn't just elevate his game, it elevated the entire franchise. Minnesota's offense, once stuck in mediocrity, jumped from 17th to 8th in efficiency, with Edwards driving that surge and posting a plus 5.3 offensive on-off swing. He did it while carrying the full weight of opposing defenses, double teams, traps, scouting reports built around stopping him. None of it worked. Edwards kept producing, kept elevating, kept proving he's not just a highlight reel anymore. He's a complete superstar. Everything about his first 5 seasons suggests we're witnessing the beginning of something special. Once a player becomes elite at a skill, they rarely regress. And for Edwards, that skill is shooting under pressure. What makes it even scarier is how he improved. His shooting didn't evolve in open gyms or garbage time. It developed under the league's toughest defensive attention. While most players' efficiency drops with higher volume, Ant increased, and his resume. It's already stacked. At just 24 years old, Anthony Edwards is the undisputed best player on a Timberwolves team that's made back-to-back Western Conference Finals. something the franchise had only done once before he arrived. He's finished 7th in MVP voting, earned 2 straight All-NBA second-team selections, made 3 consecutive All-Star appearances, and led the entire NBA in three-pointers made in 2025. That he's become the complete package, an elite scorer, lockdown defender, and emotional leader. But the scariest part? He knows he's not done yet. Coming off a season where he averaged 27.6 points and became the league's top 3-point shooter, Edwards has made it clear he still has another level to reach. And this offseason, he's been working to unlock it. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, Edwards has spent the summer developing his mid-range and post-up game, 2 areas that almost every all-time great scorer, from Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant, mastered in their primes. Imagine Ant's explosiveness, strength, and range, now mixed with the footwork and patience of MJ and Kobe in the mid-post. That's the lab he's been working in. While many expected him to focus on playmaking, Edwards has zeroed in on something even more dangerous: scoring versatility. Because as dominant as he was last season, his mid-range and post-game remained the few soft spots in his arsenal. Last year, he shot just 30.8% on 26 total post-ups, a steep drop from the 53% he posted the season before. From mid-range, he converted only 37.6%. For most players, that's fine. For Edwards, it's unfinished business. He's gone back to the film room, studying Kobe, studying MJ, breaking down every movement, every fadeaway, every turnaround. He's learning how to slow the game down, to weaponize patience the same way he's already weaponized power. But if he adds that final piece, if Anthony Edwards becomes a threat from the mid-post the way his idols were, the rest of the NBA might be in serious trouble. Because right now, he's already a top 5 player. But with that added dimension, we're talking about a potential face of the league for the next decade. A generational scorer on pace to define his era. And the low block, the fadeaways, the footwork, the counters. Anthony Edwards knows exactly what he's missing. Once he adds that layer to his game, there might not be a single spot on the floor where defenses can stop him. The mid-range and post-up areas are the final frontier. Right now, he's already an elite perimeter scorer and one of the league's most explosive finishers. But the moment he becomes dangerous from 15 feet and in, we're talking about a player who could truly become unguardable. Last season, his lack of a mid-range and post-up game didn't hurt much during the regular season. Minnesota's offense was humming, and Edwards could bulldoze his way to the rim or torch defenses from deep. But once the playoffs arrived, especially in the Western Conference Finals, that missing layer became painfully obvious. The Oklahoma City Thunder knew exactly how to exploit it. They baited Edwards into mid-range looks, sagging just enough to take away his drives while daring him to punish them from the mid-range. Time and again, he couldn't make them pay dot on the other side of the court. Edwards got a masterclass in the very skill he lacked. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dismantled the Timberwolves from that same mid-range area. Shai didn't just beat Minnesota, he surgically dissected them. He led the entire playoffs with 65 mid-range makes, more than double the next closest player, and hit an absurd 59% on post-ups. While Edwards was forcing drives and long threes, Shai was carving up defenses with poise, footwork, and precision. That contrast told the entire story. Anthony Edwards has the explosiveness, the power, and the shooting every modern scorer dreams of. But the difference between great and elite in today's NBA often comes down to one thing: the ability to dominate every level of the floor. To reach that level, to stand shoulder to shoulder with players like Shai, Kawhi, or Tatum, Edwards needs that reliable mid-range weapon. It's not optional. It's the next step toward being unguardable. The thing is, Edwards was once an effective mid-range scorer. Earlier in his career, he flashed that versatility. But as he evolved into one of the league's deadliest three-point shooters, that part of his game faded away. Last season, Edwards made 323 pointers and attempted 811, both the most in the NBA. His growth as a perimeter threat has been massive, but it also tilted his offensive balance too far in one direction. Becoming an elite shooter clearly elevated both him and the Timberwolves, but to evolve into a more unpredictable scorer, especially for the playoffs, he may need to trade a few of those threes for smarter, high-efficiency, mid-range looks. That small shift would make him significantly harder to game plan against when the pace slows down and the defense is tightened at 6 feet 4 inches and 225 pounds. Edwards has all the physical tools to be an elite post scorer. Broad shoulders, explosive leaping, and incredible core strength. If he commits to using that body inside more consistently, he can punish smaller guards and overpower wings. And based on reports from his off-season work, that's exactly what he's been focused on. That said, adding these tools doesn't guarantee instant results. NBA history is filled with players who trained on new skills in the summer but couldn't translate them when the real games began. Ben Simmons famously spent off-seasons posting jump shot workout videos, only to never use them. Even Shaquille O'Neal shot thousands of free throws every summer and saw little improvement when the lights came on. But there's another side to that story. Players who dedicated their summers to reinventing parts of their game and reaped massive rewards. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a perfect example. Over the past few years, Giannis slowly added a reliable mid-range shot to his arsenal. In 2020, only 9.4% of his attempts came from mid-range. The following season, it climbed to 15.6%. Last year, it jumped again. 21.2% of his shots came from mid-range, and he hit 44.2% of them. The steady improvement made him far more versatile and unpredictable. That's the same trajectory Edwards could be on. Studying Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant in the film room might not turn him into a mid-range assassin overnight, but over time, those lessons in footwork, patience, and balance can reshape how he attacks defenders. With his blend of power and finesse, if he ever becomes truly comfortable from the mid-post, the league is in trouble. Because think about it, if you already can't stop him in transition and you can't stop him from beyond the arc, what happens when he can also slow the game down and kill you from 15 feet? At that point, guarding Ant-Man might not just be hard, it might be impossible. But scoring is only half of the story. While becoming a complete three-level scorer could make Edwards nearly unstoppable on offense, his transformation as a leader might be even more critical for Minnesota's championship hopes. Last summer marked a turning point. After falling short in the Western Conference Finals, Edwards joined Team USA for the Paris Olympics. Competing alongside and against the best players in the world, he returned to Minnesota with a new perspective, not just as a scorer, but as a leader who understood what winning truly demands. When Edwards entered the league in 2020, the Timberwolves locker room belonged to veterans, Ricky Rubio, Patrick Beverley, and Karl Anthony Towns. Edwards was the young star learning how to fit in. But as the team evolved and new faces came and went, he grew into the heartbeat of the franchise. His leadership style is simple, but powerful. Accountability and elevation. After losses, he takes the blame publicly. He never throws teammates under the bus. Instead, he sets the tone, owning mistakes, demanding effort, and backing it all up with performance. That blend of humility and confidence has reshaped the Wolves' culture. Anthony Edwards is still only 24 years old. Yet he's already playing and leading like a veteran superstar. If his growing leadership continues to match his ever-expanding skill set, Minnesota's ceiling might stretch far beyond the Western Conference Finals. Because the truth is, once Ant perfects the mid-range, commands a post, and solidifies his voice as the leader of this team, the NBA won't just have another star. It'll have its next era-defining superstar. That's on me. I didn't show up. Those 5 words tell you everything about Anthony Edwards' leadership. Even when the loss isn't his fault, he owns it publicly. And after wins, he deflects credit, praising teammates instead of himself. That kind of accountability builds trust, the kind that transforms locker rooms. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, that transformation was long overdue. Before Anthony Edwards arrived, Minnesota was an NBA punchline. The Timberwolves had the worst winning percentage in league history, a franchise defined by mediocrity and wasted potential since trading Kevin Garnett back in 2007. They hadn't won a playoff series since Ant was still learning to walk. For nearly 2 decades, rebuilding year was their identity. But that changed in 2020, when the Wolves used the first overall pick to draft Anthony Edwards. What they really drafted was a lifeline. In just 5 seasons, he's dragged a team that was once the league's biggest laughingstock into legitimate championship conversations. He's beaten teams nobody thought Minnesota could touch, Kevin Durant's Suns, Nikola Jokic's defending champion Nuggets, LeBron's Lakers, Steph Curry's Warriors. He's led the Timberwolves to back-to-back Western Conference Finals, something that had happened just once in franchise history before him. And the most remarkable part? Edwards didn't inherit a winning culture. He built it from scratch at just 24 years old. He's already pushing into the same conversation as Kevin Garnett for the title of greatest Timberwolf ever. And when Minnesota finally breaks through to the NBA Finals, it'll be because their young superstar refused to let them stay irrelevant. For the Wolves, this isn't just about having an elite scorer anymore. It's about having a leader who holds himself to championship standards and demands everyone around him do the same. That's the difference between a good player and a franchise changer. And that's exactly what Anthony Edwards has become, which brings us to the biggest debate surrounding him right now. It's no longer about whether Edwards belongs among the top 10 players in the league. That's already settled. The real question is, has he already cracked the top 5? According to ESPN's latest top 100 player rankings, Edwards climbed 4 spots from last year and now sits at number 6 in the entire NBA. The only names ahead of him are Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Victor Wembanyama. That's elite company, and it's not hard to see why he's there. Last season, Edwards continued his meteoric rise by adding a lethal three-point shot to his arsenal, fueling him to a career-high 27.6 points per game while leading the league in total threes made. But it wasn't just regular season production. Come playoff time, Edwards took it to another level. He carried Minnesota back to the conference finals for the second straight year, proving he's not just a stats guy, he's a winner. What makes that run even more impressive is the context.